Most people who lose money in poultry farming never see it coming. They simply chose the wrong bird, broilers, or layers. And that single decision can determine whether your poultry farm makes money or drains it. In this video, I'll break down the real profit difference so you can choose the right one before you invest a single dollar. If you're serious about raising chickens or starting a backyard farm, Nature Hidden Value will save you time, money, and costly mistakes. Subscribe now and start farming the smart way. 1. Purpose and production. Know what you are raising before you spend a dollar. Here is where every smart poultry decision begins. Not at the feed store, not at the hatchery. Right here with one simple question. Do you want eggs or do you want meat? Because layers and broilers are completely different animals built for completely different purposes, and treating them the same way is the fastest route to losing your investment. Layers are raised for egg production. One healthy layer hen produces between 250 and 300 eggs per year, and once she starts laying, she does not stop. She lays continuously for up to 2 full years. That means the same birds you invested in keep paying you back week after week, month after month for 2 straight years without you replacing a single bird. Broilers are raised for one purpose only: meat. And here is what makes broilers extraordinary. In just 5 to 7 weeks, a broiler reaches 2 to 3 kilograms of market-ready meat. That is less than 2 months from the day that chick arrives to the day you collect your money. No other livestock on this planet converts feed into profit that fast. 2 birds, 2 completely different income models, and your entire strategy depends on which one matches your goal. 2. Growth rate. How long before this investment pays you back? Every farmer wants to know the same thing. How long before I see my money? With layers, you're looking at 5 to 6 months before the first egg ever drops. That's roughly half a year of feeding, housing, and managing birds that are producing zero income. Your capital is locked inside those birds. Your feed bill grows every single week, and nothing is coming in yet. But here's what you must understand. That wait is not wasted time. Every single day, those pullets are developing their reproductive system that will produce eggs for the next 2 years. You are not just raising a chicken, you are building a 2-year income machine. The farmer who understands that waits patiently. The farmer who does not understand it panics, cuts corners, and wonders why his production numbers never hit their potential. Broilers flip that equation completely. 5 to 7 weeks and your birds are ready for market. That's the fastest cash cycle in all of poultry farming. If you need returns quickly, if your capital is limited, if you need to prove this business works before scaling up, broilers give you that speed. But speed comes with a non-negotiable condition attached to it. You must have your market ready before those birds ever reach 5 weeks, because once broilers pass their ideal market window, they do not stop eating. That high-protein feed keeps going in every single day, and your profit margin starts shrinking the moment you miss that window. Quick profit is absolutely real with broilers, but only if your buyer is locked in and ready. 3. Profitability, where the real money actually lives. This is the question that brought you to this video. Between layers and broilers, which one makes more money? Both can make you very good money, but they make it in completely different ways, and choosing the wrong model for your situation is what sends farmers home with empty pockets. Layers are a long-term profit model. Once your hens hit laying age at around 18 to 20 weeks, you are collecting and selling eggs every single week for up to 2 years without restocking. In the United States right now, a dozen eggs retails anywhere between $3 and $5 depending on your region. If you're running 100 hens at 80% production efficiency, you're moving roughly 5 to 6 dozen eggs every single day. Done right, your weekly egg income runs far ahead of your weekly feed cost. That gap between what you spend and what you earn, that's your profit. And it shows up like clockwork every week for 2 straight years. Broilers are a short-term profit model. Every 5 to 7 weeks, you close out a cycle, collect your money, clean the pen, and start again with new chicks. The profit per cycle is attractive, but understand this clearly. Every new cycle restarts your costs. New chicks, new feed, new medications, and you need a reliable, ready buyer every single cycle, without exception. Layers give you a salary, consistent, predictable, showing up every week. Broilers give you a paycheck per project, solid money when the cycle closes, but you're always preparing for the next one. If you have the capital to absorb a 6-month wait and you want stable income that runs itself once it's set up, layers are built for you. If you have strong market connections, tight management discipline, and you need faster cash flow, broilers can be extremely profitable cycle after cycle after cycle. Neither one is better than the other in absolute terms. The best choice is the one that matches your money, your market, and your patience. 4. Feeding costs, the number that makes or breaks you. Let me be straight with you about something most poultry videos never take the time to explain properly. Feed is your single biggest expense in this business. Not the chicks, not the housing, not the equipment. Feed. And if you do not understand exactly how each bird eats before you spend your first dollar, that feed bill will blindside you before you ever see a return. Here is what layers cost you before they produce a single egg. For 5 to 6 months, you are purchasing high-quality layer starter and grower feed consistently every single week. A flock of just 10 to 12 kilograms of feed every single day during that growing phase. That number adds up fast, and during every one of those months, your birds are giving you absolutely nothing back. No eggs, no income. Pure outgoing expense, week after week. The part that catches new farmers completely off guard. When your layers finally transition into production at around 18 to 20 weeks, your feed cost does not go down, it shifts. You move them onto layer pellets or mash, a specially formulated feed with precise calcium and protein levels designed to support consistent egg production. That feed costs more per bag than starter feed, and you will be buying it every single week for the next 2 years without a break. But here's where the math turns in your favor. A single dozen eggs in the United States currently retails between $3 and $5, depending on your market and region. If your 100 hens are producing at even 80% efficiency, you are moving 5 to 6 dozen eggs out the door every single morning. Your weekly egg income eventually runs well ahead of your weekly feed cost. That gap between what you spend and what you collect, that is your profit showing up every week like clockwork. Let's talk about how broilers eat, because broilers do not eat like any other bird on your farm. Broilers are fed a high-protein diet specifically engineered for one purpose: rapid, aggressive weight gain. In their first 2 weeks, broiler chicks require starter feed with protein levels running between 22 and 24%. From there, they transition to grower feed and then finisher feed as they approach market weight. In just 6 weeks, a single broiler consumes close to 4 kilograms of feed to produce roughly 2 to 2.5 kilograms of live body weight. That feed conversion ratio is the number every serious broiler farmer watches more closely than anything else on the farm. Here is the danger zone that destroys new broiler farmers every single year. At 5 to 6 weeks, your birds hit their ideal market weight. That's your window. That's the moment you need a buyer ready and waiting. If your market falls through, if the sale gets delayed, if you simply are not prepared, those birds keep eating. Every single extra day past that market window is money walking straight out of your operation. Feed cost per bird climbs, your margin shrinks. Hold them 2 or 3 weeks past their market window and you can erase your entire cycle profit before you collect a single dollar. The bottom line on feeding is this: layers demand financial patience up front but reward you consistently for 2 straight years. Broilers demand market discipline above everything else, or your feed bill will quietly and completely destroy you. If the feed cost breakdown I just gave you is information you wish you had found sooner, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. This channel exists so you don't have to learn these lessons the expensive way. Now let's talk about what running these birds actually looks like on the ground every single day, because this is where farmers either find their rhythm or wear themselves out completely. Layers need more infrastructure, and they need it built to last. Because you're housing these birds for up to 2.5 years, your setup has to be built for the long term, from day one. Most layer operations in the United States run either battery cage systems or deep litter systems. Cage systems keep hens in structured enclosures that make egg collection clean, efficient, and significantly reduce the spread of disease between birds. Deep litter systems give birds more floor space on a bed of wood shavings or similar material. Setup costs are lower, but daily management demands are higher. Either way, you're managing waterers, feeders, ventilation, and lighting schedules every single day, because light exposure directly controls how consistently your hens produce eggs. You're running weekly health checks, you're monitoring feed intake and egg output numbers. It's not complicated work, but it's consistent, non-negotiable, routine work that runs every day for 2 straight years. Broilers are a completely different kind of operation. Because your birds are out the door in 5 to 7 weeks, your management intensity is compressed into a short, focused window. You need clean, dry bedding on day 1, reliable supplemental heat for the first 2 weeks when chicks are at their most fragile, strong, consistent ventilation throughout the cycle, and a strict feeding schedule from start to finish. Space requirements per bird are actually lower than layers because you're not housing them for the long term. Here's what makes broiler management both its greatest strength and its most dangerous trap. The short cycle means less time for problems to quietly build up, but it also means any problem that does develop moves fast and hits hard. A ventilation failure in week 3 doesn't give you time to recover gradually. A disease outbreak at week 4 with no treatment plan already in place can take your entire flock before your market date ever arrives. With broilers, you have to be ahead of every problem before it starts. Reacting is too late. For a farmer who wants flexibility, run a cycle, assess results, improve, restock, broilers deliver that. For a farmer who wants a stable, predictable operation they can build strong systems around, layers deliver that. Neither bird is harder to manage than the other. They are just hard in completely different ways at completely different times. 6. Risks and challenges. What can quietly wipe you out? Every business carries risk. Poultry farming is absolutely no different, and the faster you understand the specific threats facing each bird type, the better your chances of protecting every dollar you put into this operation. With layers, your 2 biggest disease threats are Newcastle disease and coccidiosis. Newcastle is a highly contagious viral disease that attacks the respiratory and nervous systems simultaneously. It spreads through a flock with alarming speed and can cause devastating mortality if your vaccination schedule is not current and strictly followed. Coccidiosis is an intestinal parasite that targets young pullets especially hard during the growing phase. Left unchecked, it causes bloody droppings, severe weight loss, and death, and it can move through an entire flock before a farmer who is not paying close attention even realizes something is wrong. The good news is that both of these threats are very manageable with a disciplined, consistent vaccination and biosecurity program. Work with a licensed poultry veterinarian to set your vaccination calendar, then follow that calendar without exception, every single time. Farmers who skip vaccines to save $20 are the same farmers posting about catastrophic losses 6 months later. Beyond disease, layers carry one more risk that does not get discussed enough: egg price volatility. The retail price of eggs in the United States fluctuates based on season, feed grain prices, regional disease outbreaks like avian influenza, and consumer demand. In early 2023, average egg prices hit historic highs above $4 per dozen nationally before pulling back. Building a cushion into your financial planning for lower price periods is not optional. It is essential for any layer operation that intends to survive long term. With broilers, your risk profile looks completely different. Heat stress is one of the leading causes of broiler flock loss in the United States, particularly during summer months. Broilers carry significant body mass relative to their size and generate substantial body heat during the finishing phase. Without proper ventilation and cooling systems in place, heat stress can kill birds rapidly and without much warning. Managing your housing temperature, especially between weeks 4 and 6, is one of the most critical jobs on a broiler farm. Sudden death syndrome is another broiler-specific risk that unsettles every new farmer who encounters it for the first time. Apparently healthy, fast-growing broilers can die suddenly with no visible prior symptoms. Research connects it to the extreme growth rate these birds are bred for. Mortality from sudden death syndrome is generally low when management is tight, but it is a reality of broiler production that every farmer needs to understand and account for. The other risk unique to broilers is market dependency. Your entire broiler operation rests on one foundation: a buyer who is ready every 5 to 7 weeks without fail. Restaurants close, processors change their terms, individual buyers back out. A layer farmer who loses one customer still has eggs moving through other channels. A broiler farmer who loses their market with birds at week 5 has a serious, expensive problem on their hands with no easy solution. Risk with layers is manageable and slow-moving. Risk with broilers is fast and market-dependent. Know which risk you are better equipped to handle before you commit. Now you have everything you need to make that decision with confidence. If this breakdown gave you real value today, subscribe to this channel right now so you never miss content like this. Hit the like button if this helped you think more clearly about your poultry investment. And drop a comment below. Tell me which bird you're going with and what part of the country you're farming from. I read every single one.